Good morning, students. Today we are going to study about the next gland, pancreas. Yes, it is a composite gland. That means it is act as a exocrine and endocrine. Did you understand? Exocrine means it has duct. Endocrine means it has no duct. And also it is secreting enzyme as well as hormone. Did you understand? That's why the pancreas is known as a composite gland. Did you understand? Yes. These islets of Langerhans are the endocrine part. Islets of Langerhans means it is present in the pancreas. We can see so many patches. Islets of Langerhans are the part of the endocrine part. There are about 1 to 2 million islets. That means 1 to 2% of pancreatic tissue. There are about 1 to 2 million islets are present in the pancreas. There are two types of the cells here. They are alpha cells and beta cells in the islets. And they secrete peptide hormone such as glucagon. Glucagon is secreted by alpha cell and insulin is secreted by beta cells. So they maintain glucose homeostasis in the blood. They maintain glucose blood sugar level. Did you understand? Here we can see islets of Langerhans, and they have two types of cells, alpha cells, alpha cells and beta cells. They nearly 1 to 2 millions of islets are present in the pancreatic part. And alpha cells produce which hormone? Glucagon. It will increase the blood sugar level. And beta cells secrete insulin. It will decrease the blood sugar level. It is very important for sugar patients. Is it clear? The glucagon. It is otherwise called as hyperglycemic factor. Hyper means high, over. Okay. What is the function of the glucagon? It acts on hepatocytes. Hepatic means it is connected with the liver. Hepatocytes and stimulates glycogenolysis, resulting in an increased blood sugar. That increased blood sugar is known as hyperglycemia. What's the function of the glucagon? Actually, the glucagon increases the glucose level of blood. So it acts on hepatocytes. Hepatocytes means the cells present in the liver and stimulate glycogenolysis. That means the glycogen will be converted into glucose. Excess amount of food is in the form of glycogen. The conversion of glycogen into glucose is known as glycogenolysis. So resulting in the increased blood sugar. That condition is known as hyperglycemia. And it stimulates gluconeogenesis and reduces cellular glucose uptake and utilization. Is it clear? These are the functions of glucagon. The glucagon is secreted by pancreas. Another hormone secreted by pancreas is insulin. It is known as hypoglycemia. Hypo means less. Hyper means more. Okay. Hypoglycemia means less sugar level. Functions of insulin. It acts on hepatocytes and adipocytes and enhances cellular glucose uptake and utilization. So, blood glucose rapidly moves to hepatocytes and adipocytes. Thus, blood glucose level decreases. This condition is called hypoglycemia. What it will do is insulin, it will act on hepatocytes and adipocytes and enhances cellular glucose uptake and utilization of the glucose. As a result, automatically the blood sugar level decreases. That's why the sugar patients are taking insulin injection. So it stimulates glycogenesis. That means glucose is converted into glycogen. The reverse conditions. Glucagon is converting glycogen into glucose, but this insulin is converting glucose into glycogen. Is it clear? Diabetes mellitus. What is meant by diabetes mellitus? It is the disorder due to prolonged hyperglycemia. Hyper means more. More blood sugar level is known as hyperglycemia. Diabetes mellitus. Symptoms: loss of glucose through urine. Sugar patient, diabetes. The loss of glucose through urine, that's why sugar patients are taking urine test to test the sugar content of their blood, and formation of harmful compounds like ketone bodies. The treatment is insulin therapy. So the sugar patient, that means diabetes mellitus patients, will take insulin injection to reduce the sugar level of the blood. The next endocrine system is gonads. Both male and female reproductive glands. What are they? The gonads are two types. Testes in male gonad, ovary in female. Is it clear? Testes in male, ovary in female. Totally known as gonads. The first gonads is testes. It is the male primary sex organ and an endocrine gland. The testis is a male primary sex organ and also it is an endocrine gland. Why? It is secreting hormone. That's why it is known as endocrine gland, and also it is a primary sex organ because it is producing primary sex gamete. Is it clear? A pair of testes is present in the scrotal sac. We can study in detail in +2. Okay, the testis is located in the scrotal sac. The muscular pouch is known as scrotal sac. This testis is formed of seminiferous tubules and interstitial tissues. In the picture itself, it is clearly given. See the seminiferous tubules. It is a kidney. If we take a cross section, we can see so many seminiferous tubules and interstitial cells. The Leydig cells in the intertubular spaces produce hormone called androgen, mainly testosterone. Is it clear? Here, inner side of these seminiferous tubules, there is a presence of Leydig cells. These Leydig cells produce the hormone known as androgen. The androgen is known as male sex hormone. Is it clear? What are the functions of testes? Yes, testes secreting a hormone known as androgen. What are the functions of androgens? It regulates the development of maturation and functions of accessory sex organs. Yes. The male sex organ, the development of the penis, the growth of the hair on the chest and the beard, mustache, everything is by the action of the androgen, production of androgens, accessory sex organs. The spermatogenesis, production of the sperm, also by the production of androgen. Then stimulate sexual behavior, that means growth of muscles. See, the boys and all have the strong muscles due to the production of androgen. Then hairs on this chest region, on the face and also the pubic region. Then aggressiveness, low pitch voice. All these are due to the production of androgen. It is a sex hormone. Then also helping anabolism of protein and carbohydrate. All these are functions of androgens. Is it clear? Regulated development and maturation of and functions of accessory sex organs. Production of the sperm, that means spermatogenesis. Stimulate sexual behavior such as growth of muscles, hairs, aggressiveness, low pitch voice. Help in anabolism of protein and carbohydrate. These are the functions of androgen. Androgen is produced by testes, so the androgen is known as male sex hormone. Is it clear? The next gonads. Gonad is ovary, female sex organ. It is the female primary sex organ. Here ovary is present here. Primary sex organ, it is the entire view of ovary. Very, very important for next year. A pair of ovaries is located in the abdomen. See, a pair of ovary present in the lower abdomen of female. It produces ovum during each menstrual cycle. Is it clear? The ovum is producing ovum. Here, ovary is producing, it is an ovary. Ovary is having a number of ovarian follicles every month. Every month of menstrual cycle, it will produce ovum. Ovary is formed of ovarian follicles. Here see, the ovary is formed. It is an ovary, entire view of ovary. Here see, so many follicles. Ovary, primary, secondary, tertiary follicles. Ovarian follicles and stromal tissues. This is known as stromal tissues. Ovarian follicles produce estrogen. It is the female sex hormone. Like if male testes produce androgen. Like ovary, this ovarian follicle secrete a hormone known as estrogen. After ovulation, what is the meaning of the ovulation? This ovary is producing the ovum at each month. Every month, this ovary is producing ovum. So after that process is known as ovulation. After the ovulation, the ruptured follicles form a structure called corpus luteum. Listen here. After this is ovarian follicle, matured ovarian follicle releasing ovum. After the release of the ovum, the ovarian follicle is changed into corpus luteum. See, it is empty. Ovum is already released out. This corpus luteum secretes the hormone known as progesterone. So, how many hormones are secreted by ovary? Ovarian follicle secreting estrogen. This corpus luteum secreting progesterone. Did you understand? Male sex organ secrete only one hormone, that is androgen. Female sex organ, ovary is secreting two hormones, estrogen and progesterone. Yes, here we can see what are the functions of estrogen. It stimulates growth and activities of female secondary sex organs. Yes, female secondary sex organs such as development of the breast and all, the hippobrodon, everything, the formation of the pubic hair and the axillary hair and all. Development of ovarian follicle. What are the functions of estrogen? Growth and activities of female secondary sex organs, development of ovarian follicles, female secondary sex characters, example, high pitch voice and sexual behavior, development of mammary gland. All these are functions of estrogen. Estrogen is secreted by ovarian follicle. What about the functions of the progesterone? The progesterone is released by corpus luteum. See what are the function? It supports pregnancy. Yes, very important. The progesterone only maintaining pregnancy. Estrogen is for sex secondary characters and formation of the ovarian follicles. But the progesterone is maintain pregnancy. And it acts on mammary glands to stimulate formation of alveoli. This is here alveoli produce milks. So, what are the functions of progesterone? Support pregnancy and produce milk at the time after the delivery. It acts on mammary glands to stimulate the formation of alveolar sacs to store milk and milk secretion. Here we can study in the next class. Next class means in +2 we can study in detail. It is the alveolar sac. It secretes milk for the infants. Listen carefully, students. Other than endocrine glands, in our body, some hormones are secreted by some organs such as heart, kidney, even gastrointestinal tract. Very, very important. What are the hormones are secreted by heart, kidney, gastrointestinal tract? Come on, listen. Atrial wall. Atrial wall means atrium, heart. Atrial wall of heart produces peptide hormone called atrial natriuretic factor, ANF. The atrial wall of the heart also secrete atrial natriuretic factor. When blood pressure increases, ANF causes the dilation of blood vessels. That means increase the width of the blood vessels to reduce BP, blood pressure. What about kidney? Juxtaglomerular apparatus. It produces erythropoietin, a peptide hormone. The kidney secretes the hormone known as erythropoietin. It is a peptide hormone. It is produced by juxtaglomerular apparatus, and it stimulates erythropoiesis, that means formation of RBC. Erythrocytes means RBC, isn't it? We have studied. RBC is produced by juxtaglomerular apparatus. It is present in the nephron. Then gastrointestinal tract. Gastrointestinal tract means digestive tract. It produces some peptide hormone, example gastrin. It stimulates gastric glands to secrete HCl and pepsinogen. Gastrin is it means stomach, in the stomach. In the stomach region, the gastrin is secreted. And what about the function of the gastrin? To secrete HCl and pepsinogen. Okay? Then secretin. It stimulates exocrine pancreas to secrete water and bicarbonate ions. Gastric inhibitory peptide inhibits gastric secretions, stomach secretions. Cholecytokinin stimulates secretion of bile from gallbladder. Where is gallbladder? See, here it is gallbladder. In the liver, there is a presence of gallbladder store bile. Bile juice. Already we are studying 10th standard now. Digestive system, yes. So, cholecytokinin stimulates secretion of bile from gallbladder and pancreatic enzymes from the pancreas. Here, see, pancreatic enzyme from the pancreas. Several other non-endocrine tissues secretes hormones called growth factors. See the growth factors. These are essential for the normal growth of tissues and their repairing or regeneration. Production of the new tissues. Types of hormones based on chemical nature. What type of hormones are secreting in our body? Listen, first one, peptide, polypeptide, protein hormones. Example, insulin, glucagon, pituitary hormones. Hypothalamic hormones are comes under peptide, polypeptide, protein hormones. What about steroids? Example, cortisol, testosterone, estradiol and progesterone. All these are steroid hormones. Iodothyronines secreted by thyroid hormone. Then amino acid derivatives. Example, adrenaline and noradrenaline. Here we can see the mechanism of hormone action. Listen. The hormones are produced their effects by binding to the specific proteins. Hormones produce their effects by binding to the specific proteins, hormone receptors located in target tissues. A hormone binds to its specific receptors to form hormone receptor complex. Did you understand? The hormone binds to specific receptor. It is a steroid hormone and it is binds with the receptor to form hormone receptor complex. Did you understand how the action of the hormone? The steroid hormone binds with the receptor protein and forming hormone receptor complex. It leads to biochemical changes in target tissue and thereby regulates metabolism and physiological functions. Is it clear? Then leads to biochemical reactions, changes in the target tissue, and thereby producing the metabolism and physiological function. The hormone receptors are two types: membrane-bound receptors and intracellular receptors. Okay? Membrane-bound receptors and intracellular receptor inside the cell. It's a membrane. So there are two types of receptors: membrane-bound receptors, intracellular receptor. What about membrane-bound receptors? Some hormones, example protein hormone, FSH, interact with the membrane-bound receptors, do not enter the target cell. Here itself we can say membrane-bound receptors are enter to the membrane itself. It will not enter into the cell. It generates second messenger, example cyclic AMP, IP3, the calcium ions cell. Second messenger. It in turn regulates cellular metabolism and causes physiological effects. The membrane-bound receptors is a schematic diagram. Hormones binds to receptors. Hormones binds to receptors, and hormone receptor complex doing what response generates second messenger, and they are here the second messenger, coming to the second messenger, and biochemical responses taking place. As a result, they are showing the biochemical responses. At last, physiological response, example ovarian growth. Okay, and they are hormone receptors, and doing response such as second messenger, and biochemical responses taking place. At last, they are producing the ovarian growth. It is one example for the membrane-bound receptors. Then intracellular receptors. Some hormones interact with the intracellular receptors, mostly nuclear receptors. Here also we can see it's a nucleus, cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus. Example steroid hormones, iodothyronines. They mostly regulate gene expression or chromosome function by the interaction of hormone receptors complex with the genome. Hormone receptor complex with the genome. Cumulative biochemical actions result in physiological and developmental effects. The next one, intracellular receptors. Here the hormone binds to receptors, hormone receptor complex stimulates genome, formation of the mRNA, production of the protein, and physiological responses, that means tissue growth and differentiation taking place. We can study in detail in the next class, that means in the +2. Okay, just read this part, mechanism of the hormone action, you just read it. Okay, we can study in detail in +2. Okay children, the chapter is over, that means the zoology portion is over. Now it's the time for exam. You all should get ready for your final exam, because the human physiology is very important for your entrance exam, and also very important portion. So dear children, prepare well, especially physiology. The human physiology, all 5 chapters are very important for your final exam, and I will send the topic for your final exam. Okay, then all the very best, study well. Now it's the time for smart class. Thank you.
These hormones increase the strength of heart contractions, heartbeat, and the rate of respiration. They also increase alertness, sweating, and pupillary dilation. Moreover, catecholamines cause piloerection. Catecholamines also stimulate the breakdown of glycogen, proteins, and lipids. In short, Catecholamines are rapidly secreted in response to stress and emergency situations and are thus also called emergency hormones or hormones of fight or flight. In fact, the adrenal glands are also known as 3F glands, where the 3 F's stand for fright, fight, and flight. These glands are also called 4S glands, where the 4 S's stand for sugar metabolism, salt metabolism, sex hormones, and source of energy. Apart from the adrenal and thymus glands, there are certain tissues in our body that secrete hormones. These tissues are present in the heart, kidneys, and gastrointestinal tract, and they are not categorized as endocrine glands. In the heart, the atrial wall secretes a peptide hormone called atrial natriuretic factor, or ANF, which helps to decrease blood pressure. When blood pressure increases, ANF is secreted. This dilates the blood vessels, thereby reducing blood pressure. The juxtaglomerular cells present in the kidneys produce a hormone called erythropoietin that stimulates the formation of erythrocytes or red blood corpuscles. This formation of erythrocytes is known as erythropoiesis. The gastrointestinal tract secretes 4 major peptide hormones, namely gastrin, secretin, cholecystokinin or CCK, and gastric inhibitory peptide or GIP. Gastrin is secreted by the gastrin cells of the stomach. It acts on the gastric glands of the stomach wall and stimulates the secretion of pepsinogen and hydrochloric acid. Secretin is secreted by the duodenal wall. It stimulates the exocrine region of the pancreas to secrete water and bicarbonate ions into the duodenum through the pancreatic duct. Cholecystokinin is secreted by the small intestine and stimulates the pancreas and gallbladder to secrete pancreatic enzymes and bile juice respectively, which helps in the digestion of food. Gastric inhibitory peptide or GIP is also secreted by the small intestine and inhibits gastric secretion and motility. There are also several other non-endocrine tissues that secrete hormones called growth factors, such as angiogenin and vascular endothelial growth factors or VEGF, which are responsible for the repair or regeneration of tissues and their normal growth. Therefore, the thymus and adrenal glands, along with other tissues, secrete several hormones which travel through the bloodstream and coordinate and control the activity of target organs. The human body has both endocrine and exocrine glands. However, it also has a few glands that are both endocrine and exocrine. Such glands are called heterocrine or composite glands. For example, the pancreas, testes, and ovaries. The pancreas is an elongated yellow-colored gland located in the loop of the duodenum. The endocrine part of the pancreas is formed of about 1 or 2 million epithelial cell groups called the islets of Langerhans. As the name suggests, it was discovered by Langerhans in 1869. The islet of Langerhans comprises different types of cells that secrete hormones. They are alpha cells or oxyphils, beta cells, delta cells, and F cells. Alpha cells secrete the hormone glucagon, while the beta cells secrete insulin hormone. Delta cells secrete the hormone somatostatin, whereas F cells secrete the pancreatic polypeptide hormone. Glucagon secreted by the alpha cells is a peptide hormone as well as a hyperglycemic or diabetogenic hormone. Its target organs are the hepatocytes, that is, the liver cells, and adipose tissue. The secretion of glucagon by the alpha cells is stimulated by low blood glucose levels. The glucose level in the blood is increased by glycogenolysis and gluconeogenesis, as well as by inhibiting the conversion of glucose into lactic acid. The breakdown of glycogen into glucose in the liver is known as glycogenolysis, whereas the male and female primary sex organs, the testes and ovaries, are other examples of heterocrine glands. They are also known as the gonads. The exocrine part of these gonads produces gametes, while the endocrine part secretes hormones. A pair of testes is present in the scrotal sac of males. It is formed of interstitial cells or Leydig cells that lie between sperm-producing seminiferous tubules. The interstitial cell-stimulating hormone, or ICSH, of the anterior pituitary stimulates the testis to secrete androgens, the male sex hormones. There are four main types of androgens: testosterone, androsterone, epiandrosterone, and dehydroepiandrosterone. Of these, testosterone is the main androgen and is a steroid hormone. It controls the growth and development of the male secondary sex organs such as the epididymis, vas deferens, prostate gland, seminal vesicles, urethra, and penis. Apart from the development of secondary sexual characteristics such as a beard, mustaches, deepening of the voice, broadening of the shoulders, increased height and aggressiveness, testosterone also stimulates spermatogenesis, that is, the formation of spermatozoa. Moreover, it acts on the central nervous system to influence male sexual behavior or libido, and also produces anabolic effects on protein and carbohydrate metabolism. Like males, females also have a pair of gonads called ovaries that serve as both primary sex organs and endocrine glands. The ovaries are located in the abdomen. Each ovary is composed of ovarian follicles and stromal tissues. Each ovary secretes two types of steroid hormones, estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen is produced and secreted by growing ovarian follicles and has several important functions. For example, it stimulates the growth and functioning of the female secondary sex organs such as the fallopian tubes, uterus, vagina, etc. Each ovary also produces one ovum during each menstrual cycle. After ovulation, the ruptured follicle converts into a yellow-colored structure called the corpus luteum, which secretes the hormone progesterone. Progesterone secretion is stimulated by the luteinizing hormone of the anterior pituitary gland. Progesterone is also known as the pregnancy hormone. It stimulates the proliferation of the endometrium of the uterus and prepares it for implantation. Moreover, it helps in placenta formation and the development of the fetus in the uterus. Progesterone also acts on the mammary glands and stimulates the formation of alveoli, which store milk. Hence, all three heterocrine glands, the pancreas, testes, and ovaries, secrete hormones significant for the human body. Every hormone has certain effects on the target tissues it acts on. Based on their chemical nature, hormones are divided into groups such as protein hormones, steroids, iodothyronins, and amino acid derivatives. While insulin, glucagon, pituitary hormones, hypothalamic hormones, etc. are examples of protein hormones, cortisol, testosterone, estradiol, and progesterone belong to a group called steroids. Thyroid hormones are iodothyronins, whereas epinephrine is an example of an amino acid derivative. Hormones act on target organs by binding to specific proteins called hormone receptors. The receptors are located in target cells, and each receptor is specific to one hormone only. To enter the target cells, hormones need to bind to the bilipid layer of the plasma membrane. On the basis of their solubility, hormones can either bind to plasma membrane receptors called extracellular receptors, or receptors present within the cell called intracellular receptors. Non-steroid hormones such as protein and amino acid derivative hormones, they are unable to enter their target cells through the bilipid layer of the plasma membrane. Therefore, such hormones bind to extracellular receptors, forming a hormone receptor complex. This complex, in turn, generates second messengers such as cyclic adenosine monophosphate, inositol triphosphate, calcium ions, etc. These messengers bring about certain biochemical changes in the target tissue and regulate the cellular metabolism. In contrast to non-steroid hormones, steroid and thyroid hormones are lipid-soluble. They can therefore enter the target cells through the bilipid layer of the plasma membrane by binding to intracellular receptors in the cytoplasm or nucleus to form a hormone receptor complex. This hormone receptor complex in turn binds to a specific part of the DNA to regulate the synthesis of proteins called gene expression. These biochemical actions result in an overall physiological and developmental change in the target cell. Therefore, hormones act on their target cells by binding to two types of hormone receptors.
That's all for today. Thank you and have a nice day.